I kind of like it. All right. I do have to ask you guys about Chris Mack Goodman. We have had questions in the chat. The whole Kenny Payne, can he get the Louisville job thing has been blown out of proportion. I just want to say this.
Why has it been blown out of proportion? What do you mean?
Louisville fans are all that, like, it's become just whatever. It's not blown out of proportion. It's just that everyone's kind of fixated on can Kenny Payne get the job at this point. And I think it's kind of ridiculous to speculate on anybody getting any kind of jobs for this at this point, because anybody you want to hire is in the middle of the season right now. They're going to let Mike
they have an interim
have
AD.
his run.
They also have an interim AD who probably is going to hire a search firm, because I'm not sure how connected he is to all this, that he feels comfortable making this decision. Will he make it on its own? Remember the one thing too, when Rick Pitino got run out at the end, the big thing he said was the board of trustees has a ton of power and half the board are Kentucky fans. And I heard the same thing from other people. So it's going to be very interesting if that's the case and they are Kentucky fans. Do you want Kenny Payne there? Are you scared of putting Kenny Payne there? Because what Kenny Payne can do is recruit. He can. Like, that's going to be the biggest advantage. If you want to hire Kenny Payne, again, he's super connected to a lot of people who have influence. Not Worldwide West. Worldwide West has jack shit influence right now. But other people, players, he's with the Knicks right now. He's super tight with the Devin Bookers, the Karl Anthony Towns. Those guys right now, they all have influence with who? High school kids. Mm-hmm. You're telling me a call from Devin Booker doesn't impact what a high school kid is? Of course it does. So I think Kenny Payne might be the right guy here for the job. And I never would have said that a couple of years ago. I think Kenny Payne would have to hire a really good staff and get somebody who's obviously been a head coach, a veteran guy who can help him on the bench.
What would be the order? What would be the order of operations there? Obviously, they need an AD.
I mean, you got to give, I guess. I mean, listen, it's happened before, but you have time now, right? You have time to figure out, are you going to promote this guy or not? You don't have a president. So there's a lot to try to figure out before you're going to be able to hire a coach. And the bottom line is, no coach in a really good spot right now is going to go somewhere else that has an NCAA cloud still hanging over its head, where they don't know what they're going to get hit with, and they don't know who their AD is going to be. Now, Kenny Payne, I still say, would walk from New York. If you told him right now, hey, Kenny, I know there's a lot of snow on the ground, but throw your boots on and get your ass to Louisville. And he'd be like, all right, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, so the one kind of silver lining in Chris Mack walking, and I'm torn in how I feel about the decision that Chris made, and the position that he kind of put his players and the staff in. The one silver lining for Louisville, like you said, Jeff, is they have now plenty of time to figure out what they're going to do.
What I want to ask T.O., Rob, I know he was kind of tweeting in there about Louisville a little bit in the Chris Mack situation. I want to hear T.O.'s take on, because I think everybody's kind of all over the place with this thing in Chris Mack. Like, is he at fault? Did he quit on the team? And again, this is hard for me because I am close with Chris Mack and have been for years, but I also try to be very objective when it comes to all these things. Do I think he should have quit? Probably not. But I actually think, and I told Rob this before, I think it's the best thing he did for his players. Because if you're not all bought in, get the hell out of there. Like Turge, same thing. Like, Turge wasn't going to help those kids in that program and that team this year. If you're not bought in, fully committed, let Mike Pegues be bought in and give him that opportunity. And he's going to bring a positive attitude. Chris Mack looked like he was checked out. So you know what? Go with it.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I also sympathize with why he was frustrated. I mean, look at all these things, like interim AD, no school president, no backing. You knew when he took the job, he was going to deal with this NCAA nonsense.
Yep.
And it's hurt recruiting. They had one good recruiting class with Samuel Williamson and all those guys, and they didn't pan out. Fine. But he's still getting hurt he was still getting hurt because he couldn't recruit. Like, Louisville is capable of recruiting because of all these things hanging over his head. So what does he do? He goes the transfer route. And then you see the negative effects of the transfer route.
Yeah.
Because like you got to put all these bodies together, and some of them might have not been perfect guys for the kind of guy that he needs to coach. And then he has to miss the first 6 games of the season. So in those 6 games, they get used to the other guy. He was set up to fail.
Well,
And Chris Mack can coach.
Yeah.
He
The
can
school didn't
coach.
back him for bullshit. The school
Yeah.
didn't back him for a bunch of bullshit is my biggest problem is to me,
Mhm.
you suspend him for not having somebody from human resources in the room when you fire Dino Gaudio. And ultimately Dino Gaudio has nothing on you. He's got, the biggest thing he can throw out there is GAs on the court and personalized recruiting videos. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
who cares?
And
Yeah,
Matt can coach when he's locked in.
no
If
doubt.
he's locked in, he's one of the best coaches in the country. I think it was the right move. I think it was a good move. Maybe not the right move, but a good move for everybody involved.
I would quibble with the right move, just because you get paid a lot of money. You made
That's fair.
promises to those kids. You made promises to their family.
Yeah,
And
sure.
the bottom line is you walked out on them. Now, it's totally understandable why he was frustrated, why he felt like it. Every single person on the planet is stressed because of what we've gone through over the course of the last 2 years. Though, in the fact that you were in a high pressure job, in a high stress environment, in a place that cares about this sport more than anything else.
With no backing.
no backing, but he still walked out the door and quit on the kids. Now, you can say that it's better for them long term, and I don't necessarily disagree, but there's a lot more context to it than saying, "Oh, Chris Mack quit," or "Oh, yeah,
there's so much more.
It's going to be in the middle. There's a lot of gray area there, and there is a middle ground that we need to get to on it. But I think anybody that has a sour taste in their mouth about the way that he left is probably justified. And I think that anybody that cannot relate to the fact that it was not going well and he was stressed out probably needs to have a little bit more understanding in their life. There's a middle ground there. All right.
Can I throw one more thing in? One more thing. Like,
okay, go ahead.
Like this argument that coaches used to have, like, hey, players need to fight through adversity and figure it out. That argument's gone. Like there is no more of this argument because it's like, well, coaches stick. No longer. Like Turgeon quits at the beginning of the season when things, obviously they're hard, and he's like the brunt of all the criticism of Maryland. Mack leaves, and I'm a huge Mack fan, He leaves, and like there's something to be said. We talked about transfer portal. A lot of the argument for coaches, when are they going to stick it out? No more. Like you can't say that anymore because now coaches are leaving right in the middle of the season. Like you completely lose me with all of those things. So now freedom of movement everywhere. You lose your argument as far as all that's concerned.